Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Strawberry Hill Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Simmons, and of course, we're here at the Shop Cigar Lounge. I can tell you every week, come and see us sometime. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Strawberry Hill Podcast. And today, I have pregame and postgame hosts, Mr. Joel Goldberg himself from the Royals. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
It's good to be here. It's always, I've been over here to the shop before, although I don't get much of anywhere during the baseball season.
Yeah, you're a busy man.
It just doesn't stop, and that's just the way it is. But I wouldn't trade it. But it's just, it's the time of year where people are like, "Hey, do you want to get together?" When
and
right?
when.
Actually, the time we're recording this is great because it's right before I go to the ballpark. But it also gives me a chance, and I know I'm pandering to the Strawberry Hill crowd here, but I don't get over here enough.
Yeah.
And every time I do, I'm like, man, I need to get over here more. It's just such a great neighborhood.
It's a great neighborhood. It's an up-and-coming neighborhood, and it feels like it's like kind of like the new Brookside. It's getting there.
It's cool.
It's cool. So, kid from, I might get this right. I did a little bit of homework. Kid from Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Then grew up in St. Louis a little bit.
Worked in St. Louis, spent time,
And then now in KC. So, how did your journey start? And how did you get to KC and where you're at now?
Yeah. The somewhat short version, I hope, is, so I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and then we moved to Chicago when I was 13. Chicago's home. My parents moved to a house in 1985. They're still in that same house in Chicago, so that's
really
home. Yeah, that's home. And my allegiance to the Philadelphia area went away as I got in the sports business because my allegiance really was to the sports teams. I mean, it's the weirdest thing that as an 8-year-old, I was the first World Series I really can remember was the Phillies beating the Royals.
Yeah.
And now I'm friends with a lot of the guys that played on that Royals team. These are my people
against
now.
You from back in the day.
So, forgive me for being 8 years old, but I also learned once I got into this business that those allegiances, you're not a fan anymore. You're a fan in a different way. Anyway, Philadelphia to Chicago. Then I worked my way into TV out of college, and first 2 jobs in Wisconsin, third job in St. Louis, fourth job in St. Louis, and then basically my last job in St. Louis was similar to what I do now, but there were 3 of us that kind of rotated and shared all those duties. When this Kansas City job came open, my network took over the Royals broadcasts in 2008. I thought, I've got a chance to do all of it, and I don't have to share it anymore, and there's an opportunity for growth. And so I wouldn't say that I completely rolled the dice on it. I mean, I was still working for the same company, so I knew who I was working for. And my wife had grown up in Kansas City. She moved away when she was 11 to Chicago, and her sister moved back here. We were coming in all the time for holidays and niece and nephew birthdays, and then our kids were born. So, we were coming into Kansas City at least twice a year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a foreign place. And when that opportunity came, I took it, got the job, far exceeded my expectations. I don't remember if I came here saying, okay, this will be the last stop. But somewhere along the way, I realized this will be the last stop.
Yeah.
And this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Which is a great feeling to have.
Yeah. Well, 17 years? 18
17 years, 18th season, 17 plus years,
So,
which is crazy.
It's crazy to think about. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here, man.
I'm glad I'm here, too.
Yeah. So, is this would you say this is like your dream job?
Yeah. You know what's cool about that, though, is because I talk a lot about, I know we'll talk about it at some point, but my recent book, Small Ball, Big Dreams, we are also guilty of saying you can do anything, you dream of, and it's not that easy, obviously.
No.
But I think the piece that I like about it is that, yes, dreams can come true, all that stuff, great. But what if your dream doesn't look like you thought it was going to be? What if you could have never envisioned it because it didn't exist?
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, there weren't pre- and post-game shows outside of you could tune into the NBA on NBC and see Bob Costas hosting a pregame show. But there wasn't, local pregame and postgame shows. So I either wanted to be the play-by-play guy or I wanted to be the local sports anchor on the news, which is really what I ended up pursuing. And that was a lot of the people I wanted to be like were, the main sports guy in Philadelphia, the main sports guy in Chicago. But I could have never envisioned that I'd be the pre- and post-game show host for the Royals. It didn't exist. I couldn't have envisioned that I would be the sideline or in-game reporter for baseball and the Royals because those jobs didn't really exist except for maybe a big national game, and so it just wasn't. So yeah, I'm living my dream. It just didn't turn out the way I thought. In some ways, it might have turned out better. And then add to it, I certainly didn't. Neither did you, by the way. Think we'd be hosting podcasts because they didn't exist. So that's the point to me about these dreams is that you could dream of something that doesn't exist yet, or at least be open-minded to something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and then I want to go back to the thing where you say like dreams. Like it's not like, just because you dream of something, you just can't. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, it takes so much hard work into doing those things. And I don't think a lot of people realize it. I mean, I think people realize it, but I don't think people realize the amount of work. Like truly whatever your dream job or dream thing to do, it's like you just can't walk in and just say, this is what I want to do.
No, and I don't know anyone that's ever accomplished their dreams by just getting lucky.
Yeah.
I do believe you create your luck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't believe in luck. I believe you create it.
I mean, I believe in luck if you have some control in it. Look, some stuff you're unlucky, sometimes you're, but right. I mean, if you do the right things over and over again. If you're decent at what you do and you go about your business the right way, that's the key to. Like, I think about this a lot. If I've been here 17 now 18 seasons and I've been in TV for 30 years, I'm not that good. I'm not saying I'm bad. I'm not like this. Isn't like I'm terrible. It just. There are a handful of people in any profession that are the greatest of all time. There are the Michael Jordan GOATs out there. In my business, there are the Bob Costases out there. But most of us aren't that.
Yeah.
So you do it by working hard. You do it by treating people right. Start with those two things.
Yep.
And then you do have to have talent. I mean, if you don't have the talent, eventually it will catch up to you. Same thing. If you don't treat people right, eventually it'll catch up to you. Unless you have so much great talent that they have to live with you, right? But again, most of us aren't that way. You hope that those GOATs also treat people the right way. But if they don't, they said Barry Bonds was a jerk.
He's one of the best hitters of all time.
You live with it.
Yep.
You live with it. And so you got to have that type of talent. That's like the smallest, less than 1% of people in the world.
Yeah.
So the rest of us have to figure out all these other things.
Yeah. So what are a couple things? Because you have a freaking awesome job.
It's fun.
You get to go. Yeah, your work is going to watch baseball games.
I tell people all the time, someone pays me to go watch and talk about a baseball game. If you don't like baseball, it's probably not the right job for you. But if you do, it's a pretty good gig.
So what are, I guess, a couple of things that like you love about your job, getting to do?
Yeah. You know what it is, and this might surprise people because it's not the games. And yeah, there are very memorable games. There are walk-offs. You never forget Salvador Perez's wild card walk-off. You don't forget Bobby Witt Jr.'s walk-off grand slam a couple of years ago. Like, those are certainly moments that you don't forget. But it's, for me, the relationships. Keep in mind, I don't really consider any of the players, current or past, my good friends. Some of the, the previous generation of players, we've built friendships, and they're out of it now. And it's not so much conflict of interest. It's just, for me, it's like they got enough people in their world pulling them in different directions. They don't need me calling them to hang out. Our paths might cross and we bump into each other on, at a restaurant and, maybe end up sitting with someone over breakfast or whatever. But the relationships you build with them and with their families. And so when I see a player make his big league debut, whether they're a superstar like Jack Caglione or maybe a more under the radar player recently on Memorial Day like John Rave.
Yeah.
And now I'm interviewing his wife who had just driven all day the day before and got to the hotel at 11:40 at night. And now she's 4:30 in the afternoon on live television with me, not even realizing what's going on.
Yeah.
When you talk to the mom and the dad of a player and they're nervous as can be, because they're human beings, and we think that just because their kid's a superstar that they've got this all figured out. I like that part of it.
You hit the head of the nail. They're kids still.
Kids.
Yeah.
I like the humanity piece of it. I like the travel and being able to go to other ballparks and other cities. I love to travel, but the rhythm of it. This is how it works on a getaway day. This is where your bags need to be. This is what time you need to be on this bus. This is where you have to go here. This is where you sit on the plane. This is what to say. This is what not to say. There's a comfort level to me in the rhythm of how all of this works that most people will never experience. I love that part of it.
Yeah.
Like, the baseball is the easy part. It's the rest of it that is just. I love going on the road, and the first time every year that we get to Chicago or Cleveland or Detroit or Minnesota, the 4 teams within our division, places that I've been to 30-something, 40-something times. Trips. Then you add in all the games in a series, hundreds of times to those places. And seeing ushers that you have seen for years. 15, 18 years, and catching up with them. Like that to me, no different than the cigar shop where you build community. It's a little bit of that.
So I want to go back to, you said like memorable games, and you talked about the Salvi hit. What was it like? Because you've been with the Royals for 17 years, now your 18th season. So you've seen ups and downs, especially in the earlier, part of when you started. What was that 2014 season like, and then the 2015 season?
Yeah, 14 was, it was all kind of surreal. It was surreal in a lot of ways. It was surreal to see this whole community come together. To know that, and I'm starting to see some of this again, that wherever you go, like right now, Jack Caglione coming up, Bobby Witt Jr. being one of the best players in the world, Royals going to the playoffs last year. I'm suddenly getting people stopping me left and right, and that's not new to me. It just had gone away for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if they forgot about the Royals or maybe they just didn't want to talk about it.
I think it's a little bit of both.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably more the latter in the sense that I think we're in the Midwest, and as much as you hear all the negativity on social media wherever you go, most people are Midwest nice here, and they don't want to stop you at the grocery store to complain about the team.
Yeah.
It's easier to send it on social media, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And so when I go back to 14 and 15, it was like you couldn't go anywhere without, and I didn't see that as a burden. I just thought it was really cool that, like, I'm fine blending into the background, I really am, but I thought it was really cool to see people's excitement, their pride in all of this going on. There was a transformation that went on, not just with the team, but within the city and within the region.
I remember it was like everyone was Royals stuff. Everywhere, Royals flags, Royals. I mean,
and we'd go on the road, and suddenly everybody was planning their summer vacations to go catch a stadium on the road. And I'm starting to see it again, where you wrap up an interview by the visitors' dugout after the game, and all these "Let's Go Royals" chants break out, and it's like, we're not even at home right now. That's probably what stands out to me the most. And then just, 14 was still like, wow, like maybe they could do this. All right, well, at least they got it into the playoffs. But I hope they could just win the wild card game so it's not a one and done. Nope, they're going to lose it. Oh my gosh, they won it. All right, well, they're supposed to go to dramatic fashion. Now they're supposed to go to Anaheim, and they're going to lose that.
Yeah, Mike Trout and all of them.
And they're supposed to get swept, and they sweep them. Same thing with Baltimore. And then, so like eventually it's like that felt like a dream. 15 didn't feel like a dream. 15 felt like there might have been a little bit of still a little bit of that, small town inferiority complex. Like, do we really belong here? I'm talking about from a fan standpoint.
Yeah.
Players are like, the heck with that. We're going to win this thing. And they came in with a chip on their shoulder. They came in they were pissed off. And I've heard those guys talk a lot that was the year where everybody showed up like on time, completely ready. It's hard to do to have that many people out of a winter be ready to go from day one. Like they were focused and locked in. That's what I remember most about all that.
Yeah, that 14 season, I feel like everyone was just so happy that we were there. And then in 15, it was just like, all right, now we got there. We should be able to win it now.
Yeah, there was a belief.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can get that back now. I don't know. I was telling somebody earlier today, I was on a radio interview, that I hear a lot of people say, like, does this feel like 14 or 15 or 13? And I'm like, I don't know that we can make the comparison.
No.
We want to, but that's making the assumption that all narratives follow a pattern.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Yeah, especially that 14 season, because like we were, I'm not afraid to say it, like the Royals were bad for a very long time.
Yeah, you don't need to be afraid to say it. It's the truth.
And then it was like that 14 season was just like the coolest thing to see. It's like, now we're good. Like we were like, we got to the wild card, like, all right, we're good enough to be there. And then we start sweeping teams, like, oh, wait a minute. Like, we could do this. Yeah. And then like that 15, like I think everyone got confident, especially fans are like, oh, yeah, we got this. Yeah. And so I think that was so cool to see. And it had to have been cool to be a part of that too.
It was just the stakes were so high. And look, one of the beauties of baseball is that it's that marathon, and it drives me crazy when I hear from friends after a loss or whatever. They're like, "Hey, sorry about the loss." I'm like, "Well, one, I didn't play," and I get it. Like, of course, I want the Royals to win, but like, you just go to the next day and the next day and the next day. That's the way Royals manager Matt Quatraro really wants them wired too, from a survival standpoint.
Yeah.
If you're going to grind through 162 games as a player, but even as a broadcaster, we're probably doing 155 or so games this year, whatever's not televised nationally. The only way I mean, 2 years ago, they lost 106 games. I hope to never do that again, but I know how to do it.
Yeah.
And you do it by turning the page. You just, and so when someone reaches out and says, "Hey, sorry about the loss," I'm like, don't apologize to me.
Yeah.
I went to work today. Mm-hmm. If you're feeling sorry for me, having this unbelievable job, getting to talk about baseball, and a bad day for me is talking about a loss.
Yeah.
Like, it's painful when they blow a game that they should have won, and I'll go on the air and say it, like, this one hurts. But I don't have to wear that. And so I'm just going to keep my energy up and do it. And again, the next day and the next day and the next day. But once you get to the playoffs, it all ramps up.
Yep.
And it's fun when you start to get past that. It's just another day and get to, like, this stuff's big today.
Yeah.
Like, and that's with those moments when Jack Caglione debuts, you say, like, there aren't many people like him in Royals history.
Yeah.
He's the first player.
He's a beast.
He's a beast. He's the first player, second player ever, I believe, but at least the first player first position player to debut during the season less than a year after being drafted by the Royals since Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
He then was the first player, second of all time, to have a 4-hit game within his first 6 starts in the big leagues for the Royals since Bo Jackson. Is he Bo Jackson? No. But he's in that category in terms of the sound off the bat, the size, and you just don't reserve that comparison for very many. That's a big moment. When he hits the first home run, that's a big moment. When he makes it, so it just like those are the things that grab me. The really cool storylines where even someone like me and my broadcast teammates that have done this for so long, we say it all the time that you see something new at the ballpark every day. That's one of the joys of the job. But there's not much that shocks us. And when those moments do happen, and there is a moment every day, you're like, wow, I just saw that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I love that. Then to be able to talk about it is amazing.
So I want to go you got like a new position with the Negro League Baseball Museum Board of Directors.
Yeah.
Like, so how did you get that? Or like, how does that, like, have you been involved with them for a while, or you just kind of
I've always been involved from a standpoint of, we have, I think, the greatest storyteller in town, and Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro League Baseball
I'm going to try to get
Museum.
him on the podcast.
As you should, and when he's on, it'll be the best one you've done because he's that good. So we're so lucky because here in Kansas City, having the museum here, and he comes to the stadium a lot, or if we ask, he'll come. We have access to him that nobody else around the country has on a daily basis.
Yep.
So not only is it great baseball stories, it's great stories about life, perseverance, American history. I always say that the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is more a museum of American history and civil rights than it is baseball.
Yeah.
Which is very much me, I think, in a nutshell, as a speaker and as a podcast host and as a storyteller. Baseball to me is a teaching tool. I love baseball, but it's a teaching tool and a mechanism to educate. And that's the way I look at it with the Negro League. So we were having Bob Kendrick on once, twice, 3 times a year. Do that over the course of the last, say, 15 years.
Yeah.
He's appeared on our pregame show more than any guest out of uniform, and really more than most players. So there was always a great connection there. Every time I would go to the museum, I would, of course, be blown away and moved by it. And then I just, I started thinking, I think I could offer I hope I could offer more to the museum than just the exposure that we're doing on TV. If people around town know who I am, and if you guys would have interest in leveraging my platform, there could be a nice match here.
Yeah.
So I was quietly pushing on that for a while. I didn't know if it would ever happen, and I've got great connections and relationships over there, and basically just saying, look, I would love to be on this board if the opportunity ever presented itself, because I get asked to be on a lot of little advisory board things, and I was saying yes early on, and now I actually say no because I just don't have the time.
Time management, yeah.
But that one was like, whatever I got to do, let me know.
That's an important one.
It's an important one. It's important for the history and the legacy of the Negro Leagues. It's important for this city. It's important for this country, I believe. And so we have that opportunity. They're trying to build a new building. It's going to happen, I'm sure of it. And to be a small, tiny piece of that, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
I think it's cool that it's in our own backyard.
Totally.
A lot of people don't think that, don't even remember that it's here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, I tell anyone coming to town, I can give you a long list of things to do, and I can give you a long list of barbecue restaurants to go to, and we could argue about all of it, right? We could argue about our favorites and all of that. But the one thing you can't argue about is you need to go to that museum. Start there. And I can give you a great list of things to do, right? You know, go down to City Market, come over to Strawberry Hill, check out this barbecue, go to the World War I Museum, go to Union Station, go to Crown Plaza, whatever it is. Start with the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. I really hope that they get 18th and Vine to where they're trying to get.
Yeah, I think they just approved a big parking garage over there too.
So. And I just like that. I would love to see what that neighborhood looked like back in the 40s when everyone was hanging out there after baseball games, going to jazz music. There's a little bit of it there right now, but I think it's such a gem of an area.
Yeah,
and. Now the Gem Theater's there. I didn't mean it like that, but you got the museum and you got the Jazz Museum and you got the Gem Theater and some really cool restaurants and bars over there and live music, and I hope that they're able to get that to where it needs to go, and I hope it doesn't become. I hope the gentrification isn't bad where it's displacing people. My good friends opened an amazing brewery over there. Vine Street Brewing Company, phenomenal. They said they may create a beer in my name.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if it's going to happen or not, so I don't want to say what the name is. But when people hear it, it'll make you smile.
Maybe we can do the release here.
Oh yeah, I like that. So we'll see. But I love that neighborhood. I love that museum, and it is truly one of the great honors of my career. And I hope that my name being involved with it helps a little bit. But I'll also say, selfishly speaking, that wasn't the intent. Having their name, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and the history of the Negro Leagues attached to my name right now is as much a source of pride as anything that I do. And selfishly, it's like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
That every time I go in there, I still buy something from the team shop because I want to be able to wear a Negro Leagues hat or a Monarchs jersey or a Homestead Grays or whatever. Like, the stuff there is so good. It's one of my favorite places.
Yeah. So speaking of dreams and everything you're doing, that's cool. You just you have a book, Small Ball Big Dreams.
That was not on the bucket list or the expected list. It's the second book. The first one was Small Ball Big Results. This came about. The story on this is that probably end of 2016, a friend of mine said to me during the off season, he's like, what do you do during the off season? It's a very valid question. We see you every day for 6 months and then you disappear. Do you do anything at all? And I do a random game here and there. I mean, I really hadn't. It's 2016, so I'd had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 8, 9 seasons of baseball under my belt, and I still hadn't quite figured out what to do with my off seasons. A little bit of a source of stress for me. I'm sitting on the couch too much. I feel like I'm wasting opportunity. I don't know what that opportunity is. So he says, what do you do? And I do this and this, and I'm speaking to some golf course association, lawn care management association next week. They found me and asked me to come speak. He said, you do a lot of that? I said, no. He said, you could start a business. I said, what do you mean? He said, motivational speaking. And I thought, I mean, I know what a motivational speaker is.
Yeah.
I know who Tony Robbins is. I don't think I'm that. I knew who Matt Foley on Saturday Night Live, Chris Farley down by the river in a van, right?
Yeah.
I knew what that was. I don't think I'm that. And he said, you could start a business and do that. And so I started looking into that, and I realized that, I mentioned baseball being a storytelling mechanism. I have more stories that I think could help people. So I started studying and hiring coaches and learning the industry. So I started building the speaking career. Well, everybody says to me out of the gate, speakers write books. If you're a speaker, you got to write a book. It's credibility. It's a business card. And on and on. So, all right, I'm going to write a book. I don't know what to write about. What am I going to write about? The Royals winning a World Series? That's not going to get me speeches. People have already written about that. Am I going to write about how to get a TV job? Might do well for a journalism class, but that's about it. And I met with someone to get advice, and she said, you're not ready to write a book, start a podcast instead. So I started my podcast, Rounding the Bases, beginning of 2017, end of 2017.
Yeah.
And the advice was, do that because you're going to meet people from it, right? Look at how it brings people together.
Yep.
You're going to develop content from it. You're going to help build a brand beyond baseball, so don't just speak about baseball. And you already know how to interview people for a living. Okay. So I started doing that. Suddenly I started meeting entrepreneurs and CEOs and executives, and did most of them lead to speeches? No, occasionally.
Yeah.
But I suddenly started having all these stories. And so I write the first book during the pandemic, Small Ball, Big Results. I'll just back up real quick. While it's not a baseball podcast, I wanted just something that was memorable. I'm not a very, catchphrase, cheesy. Like I don't like to force stuff. But I thought if I could ask all of my guests 3 baseball themed questions, what's the biggest home run you've hit in your career? And business, not personal. Everybody was saying, I married my wife, and congrats. We need more. What's the biggest swing and miss you've taken? And what is small ball? So I thought, okay, the Royals won by playing small ball. They didn't have all the big home run hitters. They didn't have all the superstars.
Nope.
And I thought that it could be a really good metaphor for culture, the little things.
The little things, yeah.
So, what are the bunts in your life, the sacrifices, and it was everything from, building stronger trust and, doing the right thing or waking up every morning and do it, whatever. And so I wrote a book in part from that, and it was an equal part of business and baseball stories. And then the second one started to come around, and I knew at that point that I wanted to do the title Small Ball, Big Dreams. So I started asking podcast guests for the better part of a few years, what did you dream of growing up?
Yeah. I
already had that question in baseball because anytime a guy makes his big league debut, what's the answer they give? This is what I dreamt of growing up. These were my dreams, hitting home runs in the backyard. So it was already it was so obvious to me. And those answers really led to the book. And the hardest part about the book was figuring out what to put in and what not to put in, because I could have done 50 volumes on it. But to be able to include in the book, the first book had some of the story of the Negro Leagues. The second book, which is actually available in the Negro Leagues gift shop, although it doesn't really focus on the Negro Leagues, but to sit down with the Tech Nine and ask him the question, what did you dream of growing up? And expecting him to say, I wanted to be a rap star. No, he said, I want to be a psychiatrist.
Really?
And then I got into dance, and from rhythm comes rhyme, and then I got into rapping, and all these years later, he says, I have people at meet and greets or people on social media that say, your lyrics to this song saved my life, or your lyrics to this song helped me with a tough time when I was being bullied. He says, I ended up becoming a psychiatrist.
Yep.
in a roundabout way.
Like you said earlier, it's like your dream is never kind of how you envision it.
He was one of the people that helped me, whether he realizes it or not. He was one of the people that helped me come up with that idea that, yeah, it's never the way you think it is, and that's okay. You should embrace that. So, that book ended up being a collection of really unique baseball stories and non-baseball stories, and I've got more stories. That's the beauty of meeting people.
So I bet you can keep writing books probably for a while.
Yeah, and I probably will. I mean, it's funny, when the book came out in February, and this one took me longer than it should have, but baseball gets in the way, and you're tired, and it's not like I had a deadline. It was my own deadline, really. But, I mean, I was working with some big publisher. It was an independent book publishing company that I had plenty of leeway to, here's what I'm going to be done. But it's funny because when the book came out, I'm like, I can't do this again. And I'm like, but I'm sure in a few months I'll be like, so now I'm like, I'm not ready to do that. I'd like to take at least another year off.
Yeah.
But there'll be another one. There just will.
Yeah.
There's too much to not share.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we got like a few minutes left. I'm going to ask you some questions.
All right.
So I know Kauffman is, a great stadium, and we love Kauffman. What is your favorite ballpark outside of Kauffman?
I love that you phrase it that way, because when I'm asked for favorite stadiums, I always say, let me look at all the others but Kauffman, because it's like asking somebody, what's your favorite home? And here are all these other homes, and then here's your home. And it's like, it just like, you don't know, your home different than everybody else's, right? So Kauffman's its own thing. It's Fenway Park.
Fenway.
And I say that, see, we all in our business, we look at stadiums different than fans. We're not sitting in the seats. We don't have the sight lines. We're not waiting in concession lines. We're not waiting to get into the stadium. So our perception is, how well can you see from where the booth or wherever I'm at? How easy is it to get from where you're at to the clubhouse to do interviews? How easy is it to navigate the crowds? And that's one of the worst places for that. And it's still my favorite.
Yeah.
Because when you walk into Fenway Park,
It was just history.
it's total history, and you feel it. I mean, this stadium opened the same week that the Titanic sank.
Oh, I never even thought about that.
So, whenever I walk in there, there's a feeling I get. Wrigley, too, but having grown up in Chicago, the Cubs weren't my team, but I went there enough that there wasn't the same mystique. Because I probably took it a little for granted as a kid. Whereas Fenway was always this sort of mysterious place to me. As a kid, we drove by it. We were on a vacation once outside. We drove outside the Green Monster, or walked down there, and I just wanted so badly to be inside there. And now we get there later this year. It's one of my favorite trips every year.
So who is one of the best ball players you've ever seen? 'Cause I know you've seen a lot of Royals players, but you've been around.
So the two best, I think, ball players I've covered, one more from afar and one every day. The best player, would be Barry Bonds. Yes, all that is in question but he was the best player.
Yeah.
And from my very limited experience, ask him a question in a press conference, if he liked it or if he was in the right mood, as good as anybody to talk to. But then you could get the other side. The best player that I've covered on an everyday basis is Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
I mean, I was with him for the first 7 years of his career. I watched him come in as a phenom from day one, and suddenly surpassing Barry Bonds as the most feared and best hitter, and I just watched him do it every day. You never worried about a slump. If he was in a slump, it didn't last much more than a day or two, maybe 3 at the most, and then suddenly he was dangerous again. So watching him, you just knew every night you were going to see something.
Yeah. And then last one, how many times do you think you've been salvy splashed?
It was funny. When I was doing this radio interview in Nebraska earlier today, in the introduction, the one host said to the other, "Who do you think has had the most salvy splashes of all time?" And they were trying to figure it out. And he goes, "That's Joel Goldberg." And I'm like, I don't know if the other host knew I was coming on, or if I was a surprise, or he was playing along. And I'm like, well, yeah, I've been in all of them. Doesn't mean I always get wet. It's hundreds. I don't know. I'm very lucky that I'll do my little NASCAR drop here, but Pride Cleaners it does free dry cleaning for me, because who else would be, it's been me every single time, right?
And it's not just water all the time. It's always Gatorade or something.
Yeah, it's usually water over the years. I can tell when it's never pure Gatorade, thankfully. They're pretty good about that. There might be some mixed in there, and I only ever know that because I could smell or taste it when it comes down. But you know what? It's like I'll have people say to me, "You're such a good sport about it." And yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But I don't say this in a bad way, but like I don't think there's a choice.
Yeah.
And I don't say that like I'm stuck. If I really didn't want to do it, I guess I could say I don't want to do it. But boy, that would really ruin everybody's fun. And people look forward to that.
Oh yeah.
As silly as it is, it's personality, it's fun. People enjoy it.
We won the game.
We won the game. Like people over the years, it used to be, are we going to win tonight? And like, there's no predicting baseball. Somebody asked me before the game we did yesterday with the Yankees, like, what do we think the score is going to be tonight? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, we might win 10-9. We might lose 10-9. It could be 1-0. Well, we lost 10-2, so I got the 10 part right. I said that on the air. I'm like, I guess I got. You don't know. You don't know in baseball every single day ever what's going to happen. But eventually, so I just always people would say as I'm walking into the ballpark, "Are we going to win tonight?" I just say, "I hope so." Now it's for years. Are you going to get wet tonight? I'd say, "I hope so," because it means that they won.
Yep.
But if it's cold out, I'm going to run a little further because it hurts.
Yeah, but if it's cold out, that means we're probably playing some playoff baseball.
That's true.
So
that's true.
It's not all bad.
You know what? It's back to the whole dream thing and never envisioning this. When we were growing up, Mike, it was like high fives, maybe a pat on the butt. It wasn't dumping a Gatorade bucket on somebody.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, all
that really was just like a Super Bowl thing.
That was a Super Bowl thing, and now it's a baseball thing. And by the way, not every team does it. They might do it for the big moments when Jonathan India got doused with his first Salvi splash, and he's like, well, I never saw that coming. We only did it for like the biggest games in Cincinnati. I'm like, welcome to Kansas City. It's every game, at least at home. They don't always do it on the road. I don't know why. But you know what? I've never asked them to do it. I've never told them not to do it. It's Salvi's world, or whoever's running it. And you know what? If that's what they want to do, and I'm getting in the way of them doing that, that doesn't put me in a great spot with them either.
Yeah.
So whatever they want to do, I play along with it, and I think fans like it. It's fun.
So I'll leave you this my last question.
Okay.
So, what do you want your legacy to be? Because you have done a lot, especially for the community and all the stuff you're involved in. Like, I
mean, I hope I could do more, and I think we're off to a nice start with that. I say start. I mean, the Negro Leagues have been on the board since February. I hope that I'm a small part of helping build the new museum. That would be incredible to have a tiny piece of bringing that here. Or expanding that. I mean, they're ready for a new museum.
Yeah.
Just trying to make the city better. Like this is. I have the same pride in Kansas City. I mean, you're wearing the Kansas City hat right now. The backwards thing's in right now. I see a lot of the players wearing those. This is the only city I know that wears their own tourist shirts.
We have big civic pride here.
I mean, Charlie Hustle is loving. Sandlot is loving. Everybody having so much pride in their city. It's the coolest thing. You don't go to New York and wear, I love, I heart New York shirts unless you're a tourist, right?
Yep.
And so I hope I can help continue to make the city better. I don't think we're going anywhere. But I think in terms of baseball, I would like fans or hope and players just to have the legacy of being respectful and treating people the right way. That you can be a nice guy and go about your business and do it in a relationship type of way, and that I hope that's what I'm remembered. I hope they say he's a good broadcaster. For as many that say he's a good broadcaster, there are going to be some that say I don't like his style. And that's fine, but I just hope that respect factor, first and foremost from the players. And then the fans, that is always there. And if that's how they remember me, then I've done my job right.
That's awesome. One more question.
Yeah.
Mike, we got to ask this since you guys are here. So, Jordan or LeBron?
There's only one answer. It doesn't matter where I'm from. It's an age thing. It's an age thing. All right. So if you're saying LeBron, then you're under 40. Come on, Mike. Michael, you think LeBron?
I know.
You must be younger than I thought. I will say this though. The only right answer is Jordan, okay? But what LeBron's doing at 40 years old.
It's impressive.
Like nobody's done that.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
I don't care about the flopping. LeBron James, and I don't mind seeing the Lakers lose either because I like the small town teams. But what LeBron has done at that age, I'll also say this, whatever people's politics are or whatever, like LeBron's never been afraid to speak out.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan is more like probably try to be more like Jordan in the sense that if I could stay under the radar and not stir up controversy, I'm happier to do that. It keeps me out of that spotlight, and it's safer. And it's a lot easier to be Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods and just stay out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of respect for LeBron. Doesn't matter whether you agree with him or not. That says this is what's on my mind, and I have a lot of respect for that.
All right, cool. I don't know if that's settled it, but
man, I thought Michael was going to be like, yes, it's Jordan, but you know what? You're still wrong.
Yeah. Well, Joel, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been my pleasure having you on.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm glad you came on, and good luck the rest of the season. And then tell people how they can find you, like social media and your book and everything.
Website's the easiest way to find all of it, the social, the book, on and on, joelgoldbergmedia.com. And then, on all the social handles, it's always some form of Goldberg KC or Joel Goldberg KC. But the website, joelgoldbergmedia.com.
Cool.
One-stop shop.
Well, I appreciate you coming
Mike.
On, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll see you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you follow us on social media platforms, the Strawberry Hill Podcast, and we will catch you next time.